So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to week 5, pricing without guessing. Um, uh, Cipriano's joined us, and I was talking really quick about the fact that pricing is one of the hardest things as a crafter because we know we bought this thing for 25 cents and this thing for 50 cents and that thing for 10 cents possibly, but it's not just one thing we're buying. That's the breakdown of each individual piece. We had to spend 25, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, thousands, right? To get to the point where we had inventory, where we have enough, should a product go viral to have that. And that honestly is the backwards way of thinking when it comes to any kind of business that's retail or crafting, because it's okay to buy what you need while you're learning the craft, right? Buying a hand set of pens, even if you're buying it on Amazon or sites like that, where you get smaller quantity stuff, that's a great way to use it and utilize those sites because it's smaller quantity items, right? Yes, you might be paying quote unquote retail, but it's better than having to spend $300 to $500 and then you don't even know if you like the craft, right? So if in bead crafting, what gets a lot of people is that promise of, oh my God, if everybody's buying this stuff and everybody's loving it, obviously there's a market for it and everybody's going to want to buy what I'm going to create because I have so many great ideas. And look at they're selling all these really cool things that everybody's loving and it's trending. And that's the mistake. That's quite literally the catch, right? You have people that are manufacturing stuff overseas, and that's all well and dandy, right? That's manufacturing is never going to stop. It doesn't matter if it comes from another country or it comes from our country. Manufacturing will always be how this world runs, right? Somebody wants something, somebody makes it. There's, the person who sells it at the end of the day, that's the final piece, right? But then you got the manufacturers, the create, like all of these people in between that bring that product to that final place. In your guys' case, when you're crafters, and I shouldn't say you guys because I was in that same boat and I'm still in that same boat, right? Because I may not necessarily be selling to a um, consumer, like the end consumer who is not a crafter, but at the end of the day, crafters are consumers as well. So when crafters are selling to everyday consumers, we automatically have this for some reason as a crafter, we have the switch in our brain that's like, oh, they're gonna know that it cost me 10 cents to get this bead, 5 cents to get this bead. It only cost $1 to get the pen. And I went to Five Below, so that little doll cost me $5. They're gonna be like, why is she selling me this thing for 25 and $30? Why is Starbucks paying 50 cents for a coffee they charge me $7 for? Why is, you know, uh, God, just literally every product I can see here named like literally everything. Why is, Apple charging me $1,800 for, or not 1,800, but $1,200 for a phone or $2,000 for a laptop that costs them a fraction of that, right? Because it's convenient. I'm not going to sit here and learn how to be an engineer to get my Apple, right? I'm not going to sit here and become a barista who is never going to have access to the same um, condiments that Starbucks corporate has in order to make myself my venti vanilla sweet cream cold brew. It's not possible. And I think when we break it down to that realistic aspect, not everybody wants to sit there and go, okay, let me look at my 50,000 beads and my 2,500 toppers and my infinite number of jump rings. Insert like every single thing here, right? Nobody's going to not everybody's going to sit there and have the patience to go, oh my God, I find pleasure in buying all this stuff and crafting out of it. They're not. They see the pretty, they want the pretty. You created the pretty, sell them the pretty, right? That's the mentality we have to start understanding. Just like designer handbags sell their handbags for an extraordinary amount of money. And when there was that huge fallout where Designers weren't paying their staff livable wages. What happened? They started spilling the beans on how much it actually costs to build these 30, 40, $50,000 purses. And it didn't stop anybody from buying them. It didn't stop the luxury from being there because at the end of the day, they're a brand. They built themselves around this exclusivity. They built themselves around this designer mentality. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you guys. To be able to think of yourself not as a crafter, you are a crafter at the end of the day, right? But it requires a sense of design. It requires a sense of understanding of how to use tools and crafts, how to coordinate specific colors, specific palettes of design, right? To know that if I use blue at the top of my pen, that I'm accenting or highlighting the blue that's on this little book bag, right? And then I've got tones of pink and tones of silver. And then I have complementary, like all of that stuff, like a lot of this handmade stuff, you will find that there are a lot less crafters in this world than there are people that are consuming and buying the items. But this niche is so this I want to say we are so brainwashed to think that because we are crafters, that the time we put into this, that the products that we build are not worth what someone would be willing to pay for them, right? And so that mentality went out the door because you have a lot of crafters that got into this business without understanding how to run it as a business. So what happened? They bought thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And then their spouse or their family or somebody will start literally put it in their head. Hey, you spent a few $1,000s on that stuff. Are you gonna sell it? Or do you have customers? You know, or if none of that applies, it's one of those overwhelming moments, right? Where they looked at the craft room and they're like, what the hell did I do? I just spent thousands of dollars on all this stuff. I got excited. I didn't even think how I was going to do this. I don't like to be on camera. I don't like to talk on video. I want my anonymity. How am I supposed to get this out there? I'm not going to go to a craft show. I can't. You know, maybe the crafter is disabled. Maybe they just can't deal with going into social places. Like those are things we think of as afterthoughts. And we buy all this stuff thinking, "Oh my God, yes, I want to do this." And I can't tell people what to do with their money, right? We're all adults here. We make decisions. What I'm trying to do is help you guys understand that you are you are at the end of the day capable of running this as a business. You need guidance to run it as a business. You need to understand that you don't have to buy everything at wholesale. You don't have to always buy stuff on a live and go, "Oh my God, if I don't get that, it's going to be gone and I'm never going to find it again." There's nothing stopping you from creating it yourself. There's nothing stopping you from being able to take what you already bought and convert it into something else. And guess what? The consumer, the regular everyday consumer, will not do that. But if people within our own industry are going, well, this didn't work for me, so I'm just going to sell all my stuff for $2, that hurts us. That hurts us all the way around because now people look at us as cheap trinkets. Exactly. Exactly what I just said. So if you guys probably are not going to be able to see the chat, but Cipriano mentioned that yes, I was so right. It's exactly how they make us feel and how I feel, and it's hard when they sell them so cheap. And that is, and I'm getting to the point where I'm about to start calling people out on this stuff when I see it online because I'm on Facebook, I'm on different group chats because I do my market research. I look at what everybody else is doing as far as how people are running their business. I'm not sitting there copying people's ideas. I could give a crap about that. I have plenty of my own. I literally spent this entire weekend innovating an entire system. And I'm gonna show you some really cool stuff that nobody has seen yet because it's gonna be one of the upcoming releases for the giveaways. I just posted the first one today, but coming up with things like this where I gave you like I have a pen holder that matches characters that magnetically align with your stuff and holds your pens, right? Selling stuff like this and putting it together in a system and in a collection, that's what people want. But we still have people in the industry going, here's a pen. You want it? And we expect them to pay, 35, $40 when, you know, Janet down two TikTok swipes away is selling it for $2 a pop. And it's similar materials because everybody bought it from the same wholesalers, right? Because they're a dime a dozen. When I started this process of kind of opening up everybody's eyes to this, I did it with intention because it's one of those things where we get so caught up in the moment and then we feel ashamed and we feel embarrassed. How the hell could I have spent this much money? How could I not have a plan in place? What am I going to do? Now I have all this craft stuff. I have no idea what to do with it. I should just give it away. Blah, 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 blah. And like everything goes on in your brain, right? At the end of the day, that literally is just us. And when I started this process, there was nobody out there talking about this side of the business, the overwhelm, the regret, the embarrassment, the, shame of how could I spend that much money? I, to this day, talk about it in as many videos when I talk live with you guys. And I tell you how year one, when I bought a bunch of stuff and I saw that I had spent over $8,000. And it wasn't even me who figured it out. I had a friend of mine because I was like, girl, I have all these receipts from Temu, AliExpress, from all of my wholesalers. Can you put this together? Because she was a spreadsheet genius and she was able to pull stuff from the site, pull stuff from all this stuff. And she put it together and she goes, she literally told me, she's like, Sasha, did you really spend this much money? I go, girl, I haven't even seen what you have. I know I spent a lot, but like, she goes, you spent a lot. And she's just like, I'm just frugal with my money. Like, but like, is this something for real that you want to do with this? And like I said, other people will come and say things, but she was 100% correct because I had no plan. I was just like in my mind, oh my God, somebody's going to buy this. This is so cool. And I'm going to eventually get to the point where I build something. But I never applied the business principles that I knew for every other thing that I have ever done, any job, any business that I started that I succeeded in. I never applied any of that stuff because this was crafting, right? And so when she told me that I spent over $8,000 on this stuff, and I was like, I could have just gotten a tummy tuck that year. I was so dead set on wanting a tummy tuck, and I never got one because the money wasn't there for it. So when I tell you that I've been there, I have walked in every single person's shoes. I have walked in successful business shoes. I have walked in what the hell did I do shoes. I have walked in overwhelmed shoes. Like I have done all of it. And not just in crafting, I've gone through an experience with my life with business. When I had my daughter, she's my last biological child, but she's 13 now. When I had her, I literally delivered via C-section because she was my third child, second pregnancy, but delivered her via C-section, came into my room after recovery, and literally got a call from my business partner telling us we had just gotten the deal finalized with it was a six-figure deal. And I signed off and he was like, wait a minute, aren't you having a kid? And I was like, yep, sign away. We have to close the deal. But see, for that kind of stuff, a lot of us are like, oh yeah, Johnny on the spot. In your jobs, you guys are superstar, you're stellar, blah, blah, blah. But then give it to a crafting part of it, and it's like, what the heck? You know what I mean? It's like, how is this happening? So I wanted to kind of reiterate to everybody because this particular week, I am going to release it to everyone. This is not just going to be to my paid subscribers. This is going to be to everyone because I think pricing is something huge in this industry. And I definitely want us to stop underselling what we have. And and I'm going to put this out there, and I actually should make a video about this. If someone wants to get rid of their supply, because they no longer want to do this business or they just don't have the energy, the ability to do this, then either tell me so we can put like a system in place to have people communicate what they want to sell to other people. But don't just blast that stuff out there to the world because at the end of the day, that's going to make the whole niche look like crap. What I will say is start talking to each other and being like, hey, I know these lives are fun. I know this stuff is amazing, but it's a trap if you start with all your inventory first. So I've said it, there's people who are sellers and stuff, and they're like, oh my God, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. And I'm the first person to be like, don't buy a single damn thing until you tell me who your target market is. I've had that. I've called, people have messaged me. I'm brand new to this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why are you buying anything? I don't want you buying my stuff because then you're not gonna know what to do with it. You're not gonna have an idea. So moving forward, if you find another crafter and they're going crazy buying stuff and be like, y'all, do you even know who you're selling to? You're creating all this stuff. Do you have clientele lined up? If you do, great. Keep buying whatever you're going to buy because that's going to them. But if they don't, like you may have just saved them a headache. And like I said, at the end of the day, everybody's grown up. We all, have our own priorities in place. And some people just love buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff. And other people will be thankful that someone said something, right? And at least gave some guidance. It wasn't just words, but that does matter. I feel at least at the end of the day, that does matter. All right. So getting into the spreadsheet, I know I spent like 20 minutes talking about all this, but it's important. Um, I think it's one of the things that we don't really talk enough about, and pricing itself is a huge part of that because it sets that mindset. Hi, Jessica, welcome in. And so you missed like the 20 minutes of me soapboxing about pricing. Um, but we're gonna jump into the worksheet and how to review it, how to go over it and fill it out. Um, because this is going to be the written version of what we have on the spreadsheet. This one's going to go into a little more detail, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had everything you needed. All right. So I have my facilitator guide because this is the one that I'm going to go through to tell you guys what you should be doing this. If you're doing it right now and you're writing stuff, fantastic. Put your own things in there if you'd like. I am including the facilitator guide with the recap that's coming through on Substack. So keep that in mind. You're going to get the cheat sheet and the worksheet. All right. So when we're doing our pricing, it has to cover every single thing. A lot of people just focus it on how much they spent, on any TikTok live that they saw and bought stuff off of, any Temu, AliExpress purchase, any Amazon purchase. It's not just the cost of your that good that you bought. It's all the goods that go into that. It's all the labor that goes into that. It's the fees from the places that you're selling from that have to go into that. So that's what we're going to be going through today. So you guys can start differentiating, or not differentiating, but identifying what your pricing should be without having to go, oh, I think I only spent like $1 and change on this pen, but you're forgetting that they're going to take away a percentage for your processing. They're going to take away a percentage of your, oh yeah, Jessica, it's a lot. And that's so the calculator was made to help reduce that. But I know that when there's no finalized breakdown like this. So that's why we're covering it. Um, so using this, once you understand this process, it'll make the calculator a lot easier. But like I was mentioning to Cipriana, this is going to be going out to everyone. I'm not just keeping it for the paid subscribers this week. This is going to be going out to everyone because pricing is huge. And we definitely need to all, everybody in this industry needs to work on it and stop thinking that their stuff doesn't matter or that it's not valuable enough. Um, so yeah. So I always say this. Yeah. Yeah, both you and both you and Cipriana, and I think every crafter in the industry struggles with pricing. But we're gonna break it down to make it easier. And You know, just like, if you go to the store, you can't sit there and haggle prices when it comes to your groceries and your clothes. You can't haggle that stuff. Unless you're at a flea market. It's the only place I've ever seen people haggle. But if we don't expect them to cheapen themselves for the stuff that we wear and the stuff that we buy, especially when it's collectible stuff, we shouldn't be doing the same for our stuff. Okay. So, same as always, name, business, date, and product. This solidifies in your brain that you are working on something actual, realistic, physical. It's not an idea, right? Because those are the ones that typically pop up when we're watching TikTok lives and people are like, we got all these pretty beads, blah, 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 blah," and we're all like, oh my God, I could do so many things. But your brain hasn't even formulated what that so many is and who the hell is going to buy that so many thing, right? So this physically helps you write down. You're going to put your name. I know it sounds weird, but you're going to do it, right? You're going to put your name down. You're going to put the name of your business, the date of when you started working on, like what today's date is, and the product that you are going to sell. So last week we covered like the full launch process of a product line. This one is going to be pricing out that product. So on here we have step one, which is defining your one sellable unit, right? So that product should be, for my example, is the Crystal Wings complete pen set, right? So that would be the product. For you guys, it could be, for Jessica, for example, your butterfly collection. If Christy was on, it would be her fairy, excuse me, her fairy collection. I just, I posted a video today because I told you guys that I was going to start doing that collection, excuse me, the collection giveaway, right? Because I I don't sit there and buy characters in bulk anymore because I love to create my own stuff, but I already had them. And sometimes I'll just like Jessica knows, I'll jump into Five Below and I'll be like, oh my God, I gotta get that because that's so cute, right? But now if I buy stuff like at Five Below, it's because I have an idea for it, whether it's getting rid of the stuff through the Charmie, not Charmie, character duos, or actually doing what I posted today. That's how I'm moving forward with characters. I am actually in the process of licensing and getting little characters that we create ourselves. This is like the little fuzzy penguin, but the eyes move around. They're like googly. So the whole purpose of that is so that we can stop using things that can get us sued, potentially, right? And so today's video was an inspirational thing. So I did the whole thing that I told you guys about the creation challenge, showing like all this really cool stuff. And then the displays that we're doing, being able to show you that, like, here's what I did with like the castle display. We are going to have different ones rolling out each week. So this one is the castle, and I actually have like three or four of them already done. But each week we're going to roll out a new display that you guys can um, invest in to be able to sell off your stuff. Whether is you're using it as a display, like, hey, look, check it out. Which, by the way, anything that you get from me, I would prefer that you guys get like one thing. So, like, for example, if you're interested in the new displays, don't buy them in bulk just yet, right? Get one. And I know you weren't here for that conversation, Jessica, but I was telling Cipriana, like, when you're starting out, don't buy in bulk. Buy the one till you can test the market out. So we also created this one. And yes, we created it. By the way, this one I won't this one I can't give hubby the credit for. That one is me. I actually learned how to 3D model over the weekend and came up with that one. But we got it printed and it's got the little tubes and everything to hold the pens. But if there's something that you have, like a collection you have and you want to sell it and you're going to a craft shop or a craft store or something like that, or a craft show, or you have somebody who's interested in buying a collection from you, things like that, and the investment you've already made in either your pens or your designs or the snap charm system, all of that, all of that matters. Oh yeah, I have a butterfly one that we're working on too. It's so funny. But they're going to start coming out, like I said, every week. But that's not the point of this. The point is, at the end of the day, I don't need you guys going crazy and buying a bunch of stuff from the shop without testing it with your market first. And if you don't have a market or you still are unclear, then you shouldn't be buying anything at all. I want you guys buying only when you know for a fact that you have people that are going to see your products and that your all your messaging is that way, right? So your one sellable unit should be focused on the thing that you're launching, right? So exactly what does the customer receive from that product? So from my Crystal Wings complete pen set, they would receive one coordinated Chibi Snap Charm pen, a miniature bottle topper filled with synthetic crystal pieces, a coordinating butterfly topper, and two character stands in that set. Now, this was prior to those displays, but it's those little character stands that you guys have seen. They can choose whether they want the Violet Sanctuary or the Enchanted Garden, right? So that's how you need to define it. When you're saying like what exactly they receive, act like you're listing it out as a checklist or whatever it is, because you need to be specific as to what they're going to receive. All of those items will need to be calculated for, not just for the cost to produce them, but you got to package them, right? So how much is the packaging going to cost you? You have to build it. Are there crystals that you have to put together? Or, are there beads you have to construct? Or if you have a bunch of inventory already, how much did each of those pieces cost you? How much is your selling platform charging you? If you're using Big Cartel versus Shopify versus Etsy versus Amazon, how much is that platform charging you? Um, Shipping, I don't include it. Yes and no, I don't. So Shopify, when they charge a customer shipping, they give me everything, but it's calculated based on USPS. So whatever box I use, whatever the weight is, that's that money automatically is calculated to be for shipping. So you're already getting paid for the shipping, so the customer has already paid for that. So that's a wash right there. But um, that's something that you guys need to make sure you understand. If it's not a wash, if you're offering free shipping, if something like that is happening, you don't want to not account for it. All right, so where will this product be sold? What's the current selling price, if any? If you haven't launched it yet, you're not going to write anything here for it. But where will this be sold? Are you going to sell it on a TikTok Live? Are you going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace? Are you going to sell it at a craft show? Are you going to sell it on your website? Where will this be sold? That's what you need to list there. All right. Step two is where you calculate all the direct materials. That's literally the pen, the displays. If you're using the Snap Charm system, like I am with this set, the base beads that I'm using, the character mounts. If I'm using a display, the display has to be a part of it. The sugar rhinestones to create the beads, the spacers, like literally you have to take this thing apart. And this is nothing new. This is not to overwhelm you. It's just nothing new. Every business does this, from the Apples to the Starbucks. Like literally, that's why they have at, McDonald's, Wendy's, any fast food place, they time how long it takes the worker to get the order, prep the order, send it out, how long it takes you to get your order. All of that stuff matters because time equals money, right? That time is not a direct material, right? This is just your material component. We will get to the point where we're talking about labor and all of that. But this is just the cost of those base materials, those raw materials, your branding charms, right? All of that. That needs to be in step two. And that's on the online workbook version, that's in there. But if you're not really 100% familiar with how to use Google spreadsheets or any of those kind of things, it does get confusing because it only has a certain amount of rows, and without you adding rows, and maybe it throws the calculator off. All I know is use the paper method. If you're old school like me too, feel free to do it. I've used both, but this does help to physically be able to write this down so you guys can see all the expenses that are happening. And feel free to make multiple copies as you need to. All right. Now, you're going to notice something here at the bottom. It says unit cost equals the pack cost plus the usable quantity. The cost in the product is the unit times the quantity used. So I might buy a pack of beads for $6 and it's like 20 beads in the pack, right? I'm not using 20 beads for this one pen, right? So I have to divide the individual cost or the individual quantity of that pack by how much that pack cost me to get the individual product cost, right? So if, like I said, if I get a pack of pens and it's 10 pens, no, I'm sorry, if it's 5 pens and it's $10 for that pack, each pen costs $2. I am going to put the component piece of $2, right? You can see that it gives you the pack cost. So it's $10 for the pack. The usable quantity, I'm only going to use one. Or I'm sorry, there's usable quantity is five. I'm only using one. What's the cost of that product? So here you would say $10, right? For the pack of pens. Usable, I can use all five. However, I'm only using one in this product set. So my unit cost is $2 because each pen costs $2. However, if I was using, let's say I was doing like for this Mario set, let's say I was going to do the pink and the red pen, right? Now I have two as the quantity used for that pack of pens. So my unit cost is $4. So whatever amount you're going to use for this particular set, that's what you use in your quantity used section and then calculate out how much it would cost you for that many. If you guys have questions, please message in the chat, unmute if you need me to dive deeper on any of these. All right. Let's go into, yeah, step 3. Now we calculate labor. All right. This was always the hard one because we don't value our labor. I hate to say it this way, but it's true. We don't value our labor. We we don't feel because we're crafting that that should be something that should be charged. And on the contrary, it should. Every company calculates how much labor it is because at the end of the day, they have to pay someone to do that job, right? And right now, you don't calculate your labor because you're like, it's just me and I'm the business owner, right? But let's say tomorrow your business blows up and you have more orders than you can handle. You're going to have to hire somebody or your business will fail. Are you going to continue going, hey guys, anybody want to volunteer? I sincerely doubt you're going to find people who are going to volunteer. You might find a few family members, but to me, that's always the hard part. I don't like hiring my own family members unless there's very specific things that they're going to do, only because family does not technically equal quality. And I'll be specific on that, okay? It's just like telling your kid to go clean up the room. There's a difference between the way they clean it and the way you clean it, right? You're going to be more meticulous because you want things put in your specific space and in their specific thing because you bought them that bucket. Damn it, they need to use that bucket, right? But what do? Sometimes they'll circle the bucket. They'll throw the thing back in there and it falls halfway out to the bucket or it's on around the side of the bucket and it doesn't go in the bucket, right? Think of your product line like that, right? It's one thing for them to clean their room and not pay attention to the details. It's different when it's your business because that one thing, that one detail they miss, now that customer who absolutely has no idea that you have like your 15-year-old helping you with your packing thinks you did it and is like, wow, this looks like trash. So, yeah, I'm never buying from that person again, right? You got to think of it that way. Now, when you do hire somebody, you don't have that familial requirement or expectation, right? A job is a job. They're an employee or a contractor, and they're here to do their job. I'm going to teach them how to do what they do, what they need to do, how I specifically do it, so that the quality doesn't, dip because they know me, right? I'm going to teach them how to do it. This is the task. watch them do it, test them on watching them do it, right? You're going to have them go through the process without you saying a word and watch them do it at least 5 more times to make sure they understand it. Because not everybody teaches the same, right? What you might say XYZ is the proper order and they understood YXZ. So you not only want to teach them and show them, you want to observe them and ensure that they understand the process. That happens in any business. Nobody just gets thrown out in the line to do manufacturing work without knowing how to use the machine, right? Same process. You weren't just thrown into your job. You had to gain experience. You had to understand how to do it before you were given the full tasks to do on your own. No different with your business. And I know a lot of people think it's cheaper to hire family. It ends up costing you. So keep that in mind. It may not cost you labor right now, but it may cost you customers. So just keep that in mind. Unless they can respect that there's quality requirements, don't do it. And by the way, thankfully, I don't hire my own family. The only time I ever had them helping was with that launch of the Snap Charm. And my husband had specific duties, right? They weren't anything that I had to quality check. But guess what? After he was done with it, I quality checked it. So it was almost like a given, like a QA of each other's work without us having to step on each other's feet. Same thing when my daughter helped. That was quite literally popping a sticker, and I made sure I did everything I told you guys I did, and she respected it. So if you have family and they're willing to respect you and the process that you have in place, no matter how crazy it sounds, then that's fine. But if they start going, oh, but nobody's gonna notice. What are you talking about? The moment you hear those words, they're done. All right. So labor. What are the production steps for putting this thing together, right? So you have to coordinate the components, assemble the pens, prepare and attach the toppers, quality check, clean the finished pieces, and prepare and set them for packaging. Right? This is for my particular system or my pen set that I'm selling. Yours might not be that different, right? Those are all the steps that are included and that you need to time because much like a manufacturing plant, time matters. It gives you the ability to understand how many things you can produce a day, a week, per hour. If your products go viral, that matters because are you going to actually have the ability to fulfill each and every single one of those orders given the time constraints that you have? Whether you're working full time, taking care of your kids, you're juggling a bunch of things, maybe you're feeling a little sick, those things have to be taken into account. So when you have written all those steps, what's the time included or involved in doing each of these? So now you're going to have your batch time, right? So total, that's your total time for all of the production steps. Then your sellable units. How many units did you make? Right? So if I'm just doing this for one product at a time, I'm going to say, okay, it took me 15 minutes to put this thing together. And this is not design time, by the way. This is literally me going, okay, I already knew the design I was going to put in place. This is just me like manually going through the process because if you hire someone outside, they're not going to sit there and design for you. They're going to take whatever you designed and mass produce it. So whatever that batch time is for that process, that's what goes in there. Sellable units. How many sellable units did you make in that time? Were you expecting to do, for the amount of time that was, did you make 5 products or did you make one? Do you only want to measure the one? Minutes per unit. If you're only measuring one, you would enter the amount of minutes for that unit. Batch time and minutes per unit will be exactly the same if you're only focused on timing yourself and pricing things for one product, like for one bundle set. What's the hourly rate? Okay, this is a hard one because we have to look at it from the perspective of what would I pay someone to do that job? I'm sure we could be like, oh, I'm going to pay myself 35, 45, 40, $50 an hour. That's not realistic. Because if somebody had to come out of the street, learn how to work for your business and do the task, they're not getting paid $45 an hour. What is the realistic hourly rate? Are you going to do the bare minimum of $15 an hour? Or are you going to try to find somebody who's got manufacturing experience and expects 18, right? What, or, or 20? What is the hourly rate that you are going to safely assume for your product development? And then your labor per unit. What's the labor cost per unit? So once you get your hourly rate in place, that's where a little bit of math helps. And by all means, talk with GPT with this, right? Go into the GPT that I gave you guys, the business coach, and let it know I'm going to do step 3 and I need to calculate the production steps. I need to blah, 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 blah. So it goes through and answers. After today's call, that's going to be, actually, I should say tomorrow morning the GPT will have up to week five's worth of content in there. And week five, or the GPT is something that my paid subscribers get. So if you guys don't have that, or if you need the link again, let me know. So now your labor per unit has to be broken down. You're dividing the hourly rate, right? So you're $15 an hour. Break that down by minutes. So you divide $15, right? Break out your calculators because I'm not doing no mental math right now. So you break out your calculators. I'm going to say, okay, I'm dividing $15 by 60 minutes. So it's 15 divided by 60. So I get paid a rate of 25 cents per minute. So now if that pen set to put it all together takes me 15 minutes, right? And that's from coordinating the components, assembling the pen, preparing and attaching the two toppers, and that's like the glue and everything, not the dry time, just popping that glue onto the topper with the character mount, the quality checking, cleaning the finished pieces, and preparing the packaging. All of that takes me 15 minutes. I multiply that 15 by the 25 cents that we've established is the per minute rate. That gives me $3.75 just on labor. That's not counting the cost of the items. That's just the labor. So understand that you guys might think it's not important to do that because I'm not going to charge them for that. That's not like that. I don't need to calculate for that. You need to. If you do this business right, you will have the ability to hire somebody and contract someone because you're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. But even if you were doing it yourself, you would still need to learn how to pay yourself. So if you're the labor per unit is $3.75, you got to write that out. Okay? Step 4, adding your product packaging. So this is where a lot of things are missed because we just think, oh, the box to send this thing in. Nope. When I tell you I broke down everything for my stuff, I know every cost, not only the packaging, so the pink box that people get the orders in, that's number 1. Number 2, the tissue paper. Number 3, the bubble wrap. Number 4, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 stickers that I put in the box. No, 5 if you count the label for my other boxes. The 5 stickers that have to go on the box. The bag, the poly bag that goes around some of my boxes, if they're not an 11 by 6 box or the 12 by 12s, they're getting a poly bag. The oh gosh. No, I'm not gonna do ink cost for that. But oh, the free item, right? I do a free the free padded envelope. So the padded envelope costs me money. The item I'm putting inside the freebie cost me money. The postcard cost me money, right? Yeah, yeah, exactly, Jessica. The postcard cost me money, right? The label that I print, the shipping label and the pull sheet of your packing order, that costs money. Let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, the bags. the packaging, right? The packaging that goes around the actual item, not just the shipment, but the stickers that go on those bags. If there's any additional cushions or things like if you guys were doing the display shelves like I have over there, the little display shelves, yeah, the little well, I already mentioned the goodie bags. That's the freebie, right? Because that comes in a padded envelope and that has the freebies inside. So I had to account for all of that. And if there was special packaging, I had to make sure that I was using the right size box or that packaging wasn't going to exist. So like for the this floating display cases, those can't go in anything smaller than a 10 by 8 by 2 box because it's wider than the 9-inch boxes that I have, which are the standard 9 by 6 by 2. So when I tell you, you guys will get to the point where you know off the top of your head your packaging and all the little details and all the intricacies, write them down. And if it's hard for you to be like, oh my God, I don't remember everything, create a package. Pretend you just got an order, right? Grab every single thing that you need to pack that order and lay it out on its own. Literally put it out and then go, oh crap, okay, that's a lot. And it doesn't mean you have to include every single piece. I went through like 4 different iterations of my packaging because I needed to not only find stuff that wasn't going to cost me a ton of money and eat into my profit, but that didn't seem redundant, right? I didn't need to put a free gift sticker on the individual items inside the free goodies bag, right? So that's extra stickers that I didn't have to do, but I was overthinking the process and I did, right? Um, I didn't need to put a bunch of stickers on the outside of the boxes. I'll include the stickers for free inside the freebie goodie bag. Why? Because having them on the box means you can't use them. You can't take the cute stickers with you because you're going to dump the box once you get your package. So that was a waste of stickers. So all of these little things you have to account for. That's what goes into your product packaging. Okay. Okay. Step 5, your overhead. I know some of you have heard this wording before, either at your job or that's part of what you do for your job, right? But overhead is important. So it uses the monthly allocations, so it's either a monthly allocation, something that you know is going to automatically happen every month, right? So for mine, it's the flat per product allocation that I used for my product. So every month, I know for a fact I have to pay $39 for Shopify. I can't sell my stuff without it. Um, I have to pay for the subscriptions for the apps that run my shop, like the rating system from Judge Me, like the system that keeps me compliant for ADA for ADA compliance. Um, the app that lets me do pre-order sales for any new major or any major launches that we do. I'm trying to think of, I wouldn't really do internet since internet we kind of like use it for personal use as well. So that cost would have been there regardless. But anything that's a monthly cost that you have to pay for your business. So that would include your e-commerce site, any subscriptions that you have that give you stuff every month for your business. Um, I have a phone number specifically for my business. That's a monthly overhead cost, right? Now, how does that monthly overhead affect that product? So you're going to enter what your monthly overhead costs are that your business can't run without them. You can't sell this thing without it. That's what you're going to enter in your monthly overhead box right here. Your expected monthly units. How many units do you expect from this? Like, how do I say this? Because this is going to sound confusing if I don't say it right. So if I have, or if I should say, if I expect to sell 100 products a month, right? I have more consumable type products, but my monthly overhead is $100. It isn't, it's more than that, but $100. And I expect to sell 10 products a month. The overhead per unit is $10 per unit because I divide the 10 monthly products that I sell into the $100 that I spend, right? Or did I do that math right? Yes, I did. So that's $10 per monthly unit that I sell. That's pretty high for overhead when you look at it, right? That's why we want to sell collections in bulk because that income will replace the expense that we have for our overhead. So if I spend $100 in my overhead every month, if I expect to only sell 10 units a month, I'm paying out of pocket for my overhead costs $10 per pen that I sell. So it cost me just on overhead alone $10 per pen if I was only selling 10 a month. So if your subscription fees and everything total a certain amount each month, but you're only selling one pen, that one pen is literally going to cost you whatever that cost is monthly. And this is where a lot of people, oh, no worries, Jessica. Take care. Thank you for joining us. Um, this is where a lot of people don't realize that sales do matter, right? Keeping your overhead costs low do matter. So all these subscriptions and sites, and then I keep telling you guys, like try Big Cartel. They do have like you could do, I think your first 5 products for free so that you can at least get some sales underway before you invest into an e-commerce platform. The fees that exist for those platforms are going to be there, but that overhead, the more it piles and piles and piles, you're paying out of pocket for those. If you're not selling what you need to sell in order to cover the cost of that overhead. So keep that in mind. You know, your website, your equipment, like all of those things cost money to run. And if your sales don't meet the base needs of the business just on overhead, you're in the negative basically every month. All right. Oh, right here. Your true cost before selling. This is where all those numbers that we've calculated so far make sense or start they gather. I'm going to say they gather. So your true cost before selling. So for my example, right, under materials, it's $6.10. Under labor, $7.50. For packaging, $1.25. For overhead, $1.25. For the true cost, $16.10. That's not even building profit, y'all. That's just the base cost of getting this thing out the door, right? This one collection. It's why I tell you guys selling collections, because if you sell in individual products, you will never get to the point where you're selling so much of it that it becomes super profitable. You're going to be stuck in labor hell. You're going to be selling one little piecemeal pens versus selling a collection, which sells for a lot higher, which means it's less labor for you because you've got certain processes already in place. You're selling something that gives you a lot more return, but gives you the same amount of labor as one pen. Okay. That is huge. Hmm. Girl, see, and that's what I'm saying. Nobody talks about this. Nobody is talking about this except for me. And it sucks to hear it, but it's the truth. We all have to understand that. And I think once we understand this, it curbs that impulsive buying so that when you do buy something, you're buying it with purpose. Okay. So that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. And we're like, this is literally, that was page one and two. Funny enough. That was just page one and two. There's a ton more in here, and we're gonna cover it. I'm not gonna, sit through a ton of it because realistically, we can cover a lot of it quicker. But that was the hardest part, by the way. Understanding that your labor, those individual product costs, the packaging, all of that has to be broken down. Okay. Now we get into the fun part, how we sell it. And I call it fun because when you're confident in knowing how much you spend, and then you are actually calculating how much you're going to sell it for, you can see the potential for your product being successful. And now you know if you decide to discount something, or you say, you have a friend who's like, oh my God, I would love your pen. I just can't afford it right now, blah, blah, blah. Can you afford to give them a discount? If they can't afford it, hey, Kmart did layaway. That's all I'm saying. They can send you the money, and then when they're done paying their fees, they can get the pen. That's all I'm saying. I don't, I know that, my Miami side doesn't show off that much, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to friends and family, if they're like, oh my God, hook me up, I got layaway for you. I could do layaway for you. I'm not gonna do it for a stranger, but I'll do layaway for you. You did it for Kmart. You did it for Toys R Us. You can get my stuff on layaway. I'll hold your money for you. I'm sure that they'll be laughing at that too, but still, right? So now that we've gone through quite literally the hardest parts, now we get into our selling fees, right? And a lot of people have issues with this part because they're like, oh my God, that seems like a lot. It's not. Okay, like I said, you're creating something unique. You're creating something that's collectible. Anybody can go to Five Below and grab a toy, but nobody's going to put it together in this manner to then give that person the ability to go, oh, hey, bam. That's right, girl. I got my Lord Farquaad pen and I'm ready to go, and it's going to look so cool, and nobody else has it, right? Because that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize. You don't have to sit there and make bulk collections. Your unique offering could be quite literally creating a different, even if you have like the same, and I know I just pivoted from that idea, but I'm going to show you why. If I had 5 sets of these same characters, I'm not designing the pen the exact same way. I'm doing it in 5 different versions because I want everybody that buys from me that is paying $70 for that to feel like they're getting a one of a kind. That's why collections matter. You don't have to mass produce them. I would quite literally color change the pen and the stone. You can leave these the same, or you can swap them out for a different color. We've got different colors here. We've got the red, we've got the blue, we've got Gingy's colors, we've got the yellow, right? There's options that you have. So you guys don't have to be stuck mass producing. You are not a mass producer. You're a designer. Designers don't always repeat, rinse and repeat. If you were like a Birkin, there are certain quantities and limits that they do for the same style, but you don't have to do it that way. And if you want to charge those higher prices, I'm going to tell you right now, people will do it if they feel like their stuff is unique, meaning you don't go and repeat this same pen style with everybody else. Or if you add, like I did with the little covers for like the character mount or for the slim mount, I would be using different gems, different things. So that way, if somebody else happens to buy and they know the exact same person, right, they're not rocking the same exact item. That helps people feel unique. That helps people feel like they're collecting something. And you guys can do the same. It doesn't mean you have to start your designs from scratch, just offer them in different colors and one of a kind. Meaning once you're sold out, you're sold out. Hey, here's the next collection. Nothing wrong with doing it that way. Oh, yeah, no, girly, you don't have to. That's the fun part. Because when you think about it, when we buy stuff from Alive or we buy stuff from wholesalers, they're not sending us 100 blue pens. They're sending us random mixes of pens. Like I have my little tray of pens back there because I plan on making different pens for different things. Like I can't wait. Where's Oh, I'm gonna show you. Like my next demo slash giveaway that I'm doing, it's not the Mario, funny enough, is our cloud base where I'm doing the video in honor of the Toy Story 5 release. I had these two little characters. They don't have their thing yet, but I had Andy and the dog, right? What's his name? Slinks, yes. Right? And I literally pulled a bubblegum bead. I have rhinestone chain, and I have the little stars. Like I literally sell this stuff, right? I was like, why am I not going to use my own stuff? It's little stars to make that Pixar ball, right? I have all these standard beads, standard stuff, but it makes an impact, right? I create on my 3D printer, I created like little clouds so that I can paste them or glue them, I should say, on the back of the display. So it looks like his room. Like we can get as creative as we want and do one of a kind and then move on to the next one. Nobody's stopping you guys from doing that. And you offering it that way means you will be able to sell your stuff for a lot more money than everybody else who wants to make the exact same stuff that they got from the wholesaler. Okay. They're literally gonna buy like you can create 10 collections and go to a craft, not a craft, go to a like a Comic-Con or go to like one of those cons, bring 10, you will sell out faster than anybody else there. And you can sell them individually, like the whole collection for like $100 a pop, and they will pay it. And you walk out of there with $1,000. Now, granted, it depends on how much they charge you to be there, but you can up your prices because people know that they'll pay more. Like one of the things that I'm going to be registering for is Maker Faire in Orlando for November. And I'm bringing these and I'm going to be making stuff in person, showing them how the Chibi Snap Charm system works because crafters go to these shows. So showing them that it's super easy to implement, super easy to customize, and now you can create a custom system, like it means that now that fear that we have of competition always being there, and this is why I don't understand why some people have jumped on my like there's a couple of people who've posted like this is gonna ruin the industry. No, it's not. On the contrary, it's gonna make people feel like they're getting unique stuff from every single person. Nobody's is gonna be the exact same. So that's how, and it's gonna elevate the industry. So okay. So going into our selling fees. So a selling channel is where you sell at. So if I have Shopify, I would put my selling channel as Shopify. My variable fee rate, that's the 2.9% that they charge you for all the transactions, and it may vary based on credit card. So if you know that you're only going to accept PayPal, if you know you're only going to accept American Express, they might have their own fee for that credit card being used. Typically, it's 2.9% for all the different credit cards, unless somebody's paying, like, I guess, with a bank account or something. That's different, right? What's the fixed fee? With Shopify, it's 30 cents. Amazon can have a variable rate of 15% with a 30 cent fixed fee. Are there any other known fees? I know one of the things Amazon did a few years ago was activate that customer service thing. So if you opt in to let their customer service team handle customer service inquiries, that's another fee they charge you, right? If you do oh God, FFA or God, fulfilled by Amazon, FBA. So if you do the FBA service, that's a different fee because they now charge you for the amount of time your products stay on the shelves if they don't go that quick. They charge you for sending it to their warehouse. They charge you for their people reviewing it. Like literally, I like my brain was like, I'm done. I need to do my own thing. I'm not even gonna like consider it. It's great for people who sell widgets, right? It's great for people. If I only sold trash cans, I'll sell a trash can every day, twice on Sunday on Amazon. Cool. It's a standard product. It's a consumable. I don't care. But design stuff? No. Absolutely not. Not with their return policies and all that. Somebody would literally send me back a trash bag probably. And I've never sold any of my stuff like that on Amazon with Chibi Charms. But if somebody were entertaining that, please don't. Because you can't control what somebody sends back, and 9 times out of 10, they're not going to send you back your pen. They'll probably send you back, like a big pen and be like, oh yeah, there's your pen. And by then they would have gotten their money back. There's no customer service for the seller. So keep that in mind. Oh yeah, girl. I was the first one to be like, when I launched in January, I was still a part of the TikTok shop program. I had tried it when I first launched because I was able to since I registered as a business, they gave me access to it right away. I didn't have to have like thousands of followers. So that being said, I saw the crazy. It's like almost the equivalent of Amazon's craziness. But even if I fulfilled stuff myself, it took them sometimes 30 days to give me my money. Shopify is literally next business day. I think Big Cartel's the same way. I haven't explored Big Cartels much. I've learned some about it, but I haven't like actually dove in and done a site myself because I haven't needed to. But I'm very comfortable with Shopify. But same thing, like they have next business day payouts. That's normal. So yeah, yeah, you have to wait. Oh yeah, I know. And that's nobody can operate a business like that unless you're selling hundreds of items a day and then finally after the 30 days it catches up and you're like literally getting paid for day after day. There's no way as a designer, it's impossible. Because you'll sit there and you'll run out of your inventory before you even get the first dollar in. And then what happens if somebody's upset and they go, "Oh my God, this thing came broken." And what if it didn't? Right? Or what if they say, "I never got it?" They will always side with the buyer because they don't want to piss off a customer versus looking at the proof that you have. Because now your business is in somebody else's hands. That's why I do not advocate for that. Plus, on top of that, as a TikTok shop person, unless your product is so unique that it stands out that much, understand you will be like your marketing, everything that you're doing and pushing your product out there and advertising, they'll show other people's products that do the same thing you do or similar. And now that business is funneled away from you because they saw that they have a similar pen for like $5 cheaper. You're competing against the world. It's not a fair playing market. Yeah, see? I told you. They just approved a refund without your approval. And that's I literally what I did, and I told everybody in January. I was even telling them on my TikTok live. I was like, as I've already put in, I to close my TikTok shop. I had already built my Shopify at this point, but I was telling everybody go to the link in my bio, and that's where you shop. There's nothing in my TikTok shop. I'm waiting for this thing to close out, and then I disassociated my TikTok account from the TikTok shop so that I could convert my TikTok account back into a personal account so that I can use audio bites and different things to be able to get out there because otherwise it wasn't going to work. It's insane like the crap we have to do just to, get ourselves out there. But it's the way that business is and we have to adjust to it, but we have to play it smart. These marketplaces, they don't work. They don't work like they used to. Not unless you're literally just a drop shipper. They don't work that. So the best way that it works with Shopify is literally telling people to go to the link in your bio. That link in your bio needs to be your TikTok, your Shopify site. You should not have any more products posted on your TikTok shop. If people are like, "Oh my God, I wanted to get your stuff on TikTok," just go to the link in bio. It's everything's there. Everything's there. Um, And then Shopify has a advertising program. Because that's what I did, by the way, Cipriana. I literally was like, I have a TikTok shop, but I'm waiting for the 30-day closeout thing. Plus, I needed to disconnect it. And once it disconnected, thank God I didn't have to deal with that anymore. But um, link in bio is a big one. Making sure that, you on your videos, if you have somewhere that you can put it, if you want to do it that way, have a way to kind of like show your logo, your business information. Make sure you have a domain name for your site. Um, you're popping it in. Some people actually did it. I was able to get away with it too, but I was like, that looks so cheesy. Where you can put your website as your username. So like, like I have Chibi Charms with Sasha. I literally had chibicharms.com on my username, and they didn't flag it or anything. Um, and this was just like a few months ago, but I was like, oh, it looks so cheesy. I don't like it. So I changed it. But if you want to try it that way too, do it that way too. Because that way, if they see your videos, your username has your website on it. You can also post a comment on your posts and say, you want this, get it at xyz.com, right? Nothing stopping you from adding the first comment and being able to put information and comments onto your videos. Okay. I talk a lot. Good Lord. Okay. Enter selling fee. So your selling channel, we talked about that. So if it's Etsy, Amazon, all of that. Oh yeah. Yeah, post it on there. It'll be right then and there. That way, whoever decides they want to comment, like, where do I buy it? It's already there. Selling channel, variable fee rate. So that's the variable charge, your fixed fee for the fixed charge for every order that comes in, and any other known fee if there's another fee that they charge. Source or date used to verify the fees, right? The it says date or data. Should have said data. Sorry. The source or the data used to, or no, the date. No, I apologize. It is the date because I wanted to make sure that you didn't go, oh, I remember from 3 years ago it was 2.9%. And then they changed it now, right? Verify where, like what day you checked that those were the fees and where was the source. So did you go to their page? Did you get an email that something got changed? Like where? Where did that data come from? All right. Step 7, we're going to choose a target net profit margin, right? So what does that mean? A lot of people get stuck on this one. A target net profit means after all your costs, after you've accounted for all your costs, how much is left over? And this is just a percentage, right? Based off of all your costs. And I apologize. I know I keep scratching my nose. I ate meatballs earlier and I should have known better, but I get this weird itch from an allergy to, I think it's paprika. I don't know. But poor Christy, when I was on a meeting with her like 3 weeks ago, I had eaten some chips and salsa, didn't even think about it. And the whole time I'm like scratching my nose. I have such a weird allergy. I need to start taking allergy pills. Anyway, side comments there. Um, what percentage do you want to be your net profit, right? So after you've accounted for all the costs, what percentage of the selling fee needs to be income? And this is money not necessarily that just goes to you. It's money that is put aside to invest in more product, to restock, to be able to launch something new, right? That net profit margin. So depending on how you sell, right? Because I can tell people to sell collections every day and they will wipe their butt with what I say, right? But if you sell in a collection and your collection costs $15 to make, and that's taking into account all the costs that we were talking about, and you sell it for $70, that's a huge profit margin, right? Because value is in the eye of the beholder. It isn't on the crafter. Because we will cheapen the crap out of our stuff just because we feel bad because we only spent $15 on the product. Well, there was a lot that went into it. There's the business risk. There's the risk that nobody's going to buy anything. There's the risk of having purchased something and hoping that by the time it got to you, it was actually correct and that it was not broken or damaged, right? There's a lot of things and risks that people are not willing to take, but they want the end product. They're the ones that are your target market. And if somebody's like, oh my God, that's too expensive, then they are not your customer. Not everybody can afford a Birkin, but those that do buy it, right? Not everybody can afford Starbucks, but they go and, buy whatever coffee they need to because they want coffee. If they aren't your customer, they can move on. And that's where a lot of people fall into that scam pit that I've already done like two videos on this. Um, where we get so desperate to make a sale or we're like so excited to make a sale that we don't see the red flags right in front of us. So if someone starts, talking about how they need your bank account screenshots and all sorts of stuff because they sent you the money and nothing's come in, they're trying to scam you. Move it on. Move it along. They didn't pay you for shit. They ain't getting shit. And that's the only time I'm gonna curse on here. It's just one of those things I'm very passionate about because it sucks. When you put a lot of hard energy and time and work into your craft, thankfully I saved two people from this mistake because they were just like, "What do you think?" Like literally out of nowhere. I've never talked to these people in my life. And they were like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Girl, block them, like made sure they don't have did you send your stuff?" They're like, "I was about to." Girl, you better not. Like I was one of them. I was literally I had just come out of the shower. My hair was still wet. Didn't even get it done yet. And I saw the message come in and I'm like, "Girl, what are you doing? Don't you?" I was like freaking out on behalf of somebody that I had never met. So, your profit margin matters because if you price yourself so low that every sale is literally a cry for desperation, you're going to fall for these things. Okay. So keep that in mind. Your net profit margin, I like to keep my net profit margins on the lowest end at 50%. And I say lowest because you have to account that what if, right? You did everything right. You designed everything correctly. You packaged everything correctly. But in between your package going out and them receiving it, the driver that day was just pissed because he hates his life or she hated her life. And they were just like, "There's your package." Despite you having all the fragile stickers on there, well, guess what? I don't care. It's just a package. Whoever shipped it should have packaged it right. Now, granted, that is correct. Whatever we do. But I've literally seen where I've packaged these things like as strong as you can package. Like I've quadruple wrapped them, and thankfully it protected the product. But that box looked like someone literally stomped on it because it had the sides broken, and there was like food dripped on it. Like I had somebody send me pictures. She was like, box is insane. I don't even know that I got all my stuff." And I literally go to her, "Okay, go through it. Let's check off everything." She goes, "Oh my God, thank God everything's here." Yeah, your package, like the bubble wrap was intact and everything was tight. But man, this person like screwed up the package so much. I'm like, that's why I love bubble wrap. I will not skimp on bubble wrap for that particular reason. Okay. Okay. So your target net profit margin should account for the cost of you having to replace the entire thing again. So that's why I do it at a minimum 50%. Because if something happens to that, I want you to have your product. I don't care if I've got to pay out of my own pocket until we get a claim put in. That claim's coming back to me. It isn't coming back to the customer. But if I have a complaint if I have a claim, I have my pictures and all the information, I submit it to the USPS, I'm still sending your package out the next day. You're not going to have to pay for another order. We're not going to have you wait 60 to 90 days until USPS decides to give me back my money. Right? At that point, it's a wash. I know I'm going to get my claim paid. It's just going to take a little time. And at this rate, USPS is probably paying out claims faster than TikTok Shop is paying out their sellers. So go figure that one. All right. Calculate. Now, on my facilitator notes, it does say, I'm going to caveat this. It says a net profit margin of 35%. Please strive for at a minimum of 50. And I'm going to make sure I update that before it goes out. keep that at a 50 at a minimum. Okay. You're not overpricing. Unless you paid like retail prices for your items, you will never overprice your stuff. All right. Calculate. And really quick, go back a couple steps. And I mean like everything. Some of us get like the little toys like I did here from Five Below, and each of these cost $5, but this didn't cost me $60 to make, right? This didn't cost me $60 to print. So keep that in mind. All right. Moving on. Now that we've got our net profit margin percentage in mind, that 50%. Now what we want to do is, okay, let's calculate what the starting price is going to be. So we have our true cost. So that's all page 1 and 2. Our fixed fees, which is the top of page 3. We're going to do the maths, right? So it's 1 minus your true cost minus your fixed fees. That's the denominator in what you're going to divide. This is where math is important, because when you do 1 minus 15 minus $3, I'm going to say is your fixed fee, it will equal a number, whatever that number is, right? So for me, we have our true cost is $16.10. My fixed fee, it says here 30 cents. It's going to be a little bit more because there's that, percentage. Divide that. Oh, I see it here. Sorry. So your true cost divided, plus your fixed fee divided by your denominator. So you're going to have 16.10 plus the 30-cent fixed fee. Divide that by 1 minus, now we have our variable fee and our target margin, not your fixed fee. I misread this. All right. So how's the best way for me to do it here? Okay. So right in this box, it won't let me type, but right in this box, we are going to put whatever the variable fee is, right? So your fixed fee might be the 30 cents, but your 2.9% is the variable fee, whatever that 2.9% is. 35 cents would be the target margin. So hold on, this is making it a little more confusing than it needs to be. And I'm going to change that, because you won't be able to get your variable and your target market or your target margin. Oh no, never mind. It's that we're decimaling it. Okay. So Cipriana, I apologize. I'm going to step back, right? So our true cost, obviously, the $16.10 was my true cost of all my products, packaging, everything. I'm going to add that with my fixed fee. So my fixed fee, that means I'm only going to get this charge for every order that comes in is 30 cents. I'm going to take those two numbers, 16.10, 30 cents. That's 16.40 I have so far. So we're going to write that number down on the side. Let me write it down so I can show you guys. So 16.40, right? Then that number is going to get divided by whatever comes out of this equation. So the number 1, you're going to subtract it by the decimal version of your variable rate. So on my example, it says 0.10. Well, I don't have a 10% variable rate. I have a 2.9%. So mine would be 0.0 or 0.29. No, 0.029. Right? So 0.029. We move the decimal over 1. So 0.029 is my variable rate, meaning I get charged 2.9% for my final sales price. Then I'm also going to subtract whatever my target margin is. So I said I wanted a target margin of 50%, right? So it would be 0.50. Whereas in my example here, it says 0.35 because it was 35% that my example had. Now, once you calculate 1 minus 0. Here, let me do it real quick on my calculator. So 1 minus 0.029 minus 0.50 equals 47 cents because it's 0.471. So I'm going to have 1640 divided by 0.47. That's going to give me my calculated price. That's the calculated starting price, right? Because at a minimum, I said I wanted a 50% net margin and I have to account for all my costs. So that's a 50% net margin on top of all of my costs. I know this sounds very confusing, but please trust the math, okay? So my 1640, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's going to be kind of backwards. My 1640 divided by the 0.47. So 1640 divided by 0.47 gives me $34.89. That's what my package starting price should be. Or I should say bare minimum, right? That's my calculated, that at a bare minimum, I don't want anything less than $34.89 for my collection, right? So that's the least amount that I'm willing to accept. That would make me happy if I made the sale, but if I could make more, fantastic, I will, right? Now, if you wanted to see what your higher profit margins are going to be, that second number that I did 0.50 because I wanted a 50% net margin, maybe you want to check to see what 60, 70, 80%. It's not greedy, it's just or estimating numbers depending on how you're selling, right? You have bag makers that are charging 1,000% net margins, okay, versus what they pay for these bags. But they're able to do that because they are unique with their designs. They cater to the customer, like all of their advertising, all of their marketing, everything is targeted to the target market that they have, which is people who have a ton of money, that's disposable income, that want that Hermes bag brand, or Louis Vuitton, or Donna Karan, Michael Kors, insert designer here, right? You're no different, especially if you sell these uniquely. If you say this is a one of a kind, because it would be. Because I want you to think, you're like, oh, but everybody else can get these same supplies. No, they can't. Unless they actually bought everything from the same people that you bought stuff from. They styled and designed everything exactly the same way you did and got access to the same gems and got access to the same sugar and got access to the same spacers. They can't duplicate your design. It would be very hard to. Because some beads and some things they don't even make anymore. And some people are sitting on things that they've been sitting on for a year. So, giving that unique aspect of it, you guys can definitely design stuff from that unique perspective and be like, every design is original and it's one of a kind. I'm only selling one of each version. So if I have 5 sets of Lord Farquaad and Cine, they're not going to be the exact same pen. I may add different rhinestones on their stands or their mounts. I may add different rhinestones on the character stands. I may add specifically rhinestones on the characters, right? Everybody's going to be different. Maybe his eyes have rhinestones, right? Maybe the candy cane has little strips of rhinestones or glitter gel, insert design aspect here, right? You guys can make that stuff uniquely. It won't change the amount of time that it takes to be able to create it because you've already thought of the design. You just have to change the colors and then offer one of each, and that's it. So $34.89 is my bare minimum. That's the lowest I'd be willing to take. So now if I price it up higher, if I say, okay, I want to do a 70% net margin. Well, let's do the math. At my highest, I don't want to go beyond 70, let's say. That's just my perspective. I don't want to do 70 more than 70. And it doesn't have to be, by the way. You can go up to 100 if you wanted to. But let's do it for math's sake. We're going to do 70. So that brings it down to 0.271. We were at 0.47 before. Now we're at 0.271. So I'm going to take 1640 divided by 0.271. That gives me $60.52 because I'm rounding up, right? So let's say $60 pen versus a $35 pen, or not pen, collection, right? So I'm selling it starting at $60. I get it out there. I'm hitting my target market. And they're like, ooh, that's priced a little too much. And everybody's saying it, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, you can throw the margins as much as you want, but does your target market, are they willing to pay it? That's the other part. And I'm not saying cheapen it down. Please do not misconstrue that. I'm just saying sometimes we want higher budget, but we're targeting the wrong people for that. So depending on your target market, if you're going after people who love designer items, that might be it. That price would fit because they want that unique item. They want that I got a one of a kind sensation. That's why they love designer. Right? So they would be willing to pay the 60 for that collection. Whereas if I was just going for, mid 20s chic pop girls who love K-pop, that's, it's a good market. They would pay some money, but not unless you're making K-pop items that are collectible. And if they're unique, fantastic, then they would be willing to pay. But if you're trying to sell to K-pop people, you know, let's say like I have these dragons, I may get a couple bites, but not everybody's going to want them. Like that market would be like the people that love D&D or um you know gaming, like the Viking type games and stuff like that, right? And that demographic is more male. So are you designing items that go with that dragon that are more male oriented? So there's a lot to take into account, and it's important that based on the target market you guys have decided on, can they can or is that price reasonable for that market? Not that it won't be reasonable to other markets. You just need to test to make sure that it is reasonable for that market. And if it is, then keep your higher profit margin. Otherwise, come to a happy middle, right? It's between 30 and 60. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This allergy is out of control. Between 35 and 60. Meet in the middle, that can be your starting price. That way, if you run a sale, let's say you do a 10% off sale or a 5% off sale or even as high as 15%, you're not breaking into your profits. Because at a minimum, you're getting that 15. Okay? All right. Oh, goodness. Next, we verify the rounded price, right? So let's say I settled on the $35 price at my 50% margin. And my variable fee is now whatever 2.9% is against $30. So we have to do the maths, right? So I'm going to go this. We went and we broke everything down before backwards. Now we're going forward. Let's go through that price from the sales price all the way through and see if we hit our net margin. This is how we're verifying. This is very much like math, how they would tell you, check your work, and you have to like work everything backwards. This is why math is important. All right. So we're starting at $30. I've got my variable fee of 2.9%. So that's $30 times 2.9%. So that was 87 cents off of that. So that's $30 minus 87 cents. Then we have our fixed fee of 30 cents. So let's add that in there as well. So we got now 30 minus 87 cents minus 30 cents minus our true cost of $16.10. That gives us $12.73, right? At that point, we're in our net profit. Now to get our net margin, we're going to divide. That's where you have to do your net profit divided by the price times 100. So now my net profit is 1273. Oh, goodness. Divided by my $30 sales price. And that gave me 42.4%. Okay. So that being said, the math is off. Oh, wait, did I actually do the right price for that one? Yes, I did. 2.9%, 50% profit margin. I got my fixed fee. But I'm also going off of this one. So give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I'm not putting in the wrong numbers. So my variable rate, yep, my 2.9% plus the 30 cents. So yep, 30. Oh, wait, no, that was not my sales. I'm sorry. See, I knew I did the math wrong. It was $35 because it was $34.18. I apologize. See, I did do the math wrong. So I should have rounded to 35, not 30. So watch. I'm gonna put 35 in there and it'll hit. So watch. 35. I'm like, watch. I'm watching the top of my head. 35 times 2.9%. That's $1.02. So that's 35 minus $1.02 minus 30 cents. That gives me 33.68 minus my true cost of $16.10 gives me $17.58 in profit. Yeah, Cipriana, yes. For some reason I said 30. I don't even know why. All right, so 17.58 profit. Now let's do the math and we're reverse engineering. So our net profit of $17.58 divided by the $35. Hey, there it is, $50. Or 50%, I should say, not $50. So the maths, right? I know for a fact, based on the variables and all the fees and all the calculations, that I hit with that $35 price, my minimum 50% net profit margin. Okay. And it's not bad to have a minimum, but understand that if you don't want to go below that number, you're going to have to price higher to account for any discounts and sales you want to do. For any, let's say you pay a referral fee to somebody, you got to account for those fees that you're going to pay somebody out. If you, oh gosh, if you end up doing a promotion and then they get something, like free shipping and those kind of things, that kind of stuff does matter. Okay. So I always go a little bit higher depending on what I need. Like if this was my only business and I didn't have, my job or anything like that, yeah, my net profit would be a lot higher because it is the only thing I would be surviving off of. But depending on your situation, you could be a little more liberal with it. You don't have to, be at a certain amount unless you want to continue growing it as a business, then keep to your guns. Okay. We're almost there, y'all. Just two more. Just two more. We're almost there, and this is the easiest. This really is the easiest. So now we do our actual true cost. This is where you're going to go through and you're going to say, okay, my product The true cost is XYZ, whatever you calculated for your true cost is. So my true cost for my complete crystal set, I didn't miss anything, did I? No. Okay. My true cost was $16.10. The price that I set was $29.99. My selling fee was $3.30. My net profit was $10.59, and my net margin was 35%. I told you that's what I did here with this demo. Because like I said, I can do my own personal ones for my business, but this is a demo. This is not true to life. I just want you guys to understand you have the flexibility to make it whatever you want it to be. Just never zero. Crystal Wings Topper Duo. That's my add-on. If I have like a related product or an add-on, that could be what I put in here. If it's a refill, like, oh, you can add another duo set like I have, which is not a refill, it's an add-on. Or I can have a related product to that main product. Maybe instead of it just being the pen, it's the keychain, right? What's my true cost? Literally break it all down. You have the numbers from the previous sheet. And then once you do all of that, you will literally see what your it'll not predictability, but your estimates are for all of your product lines. So okay, I've got healthy margins here. Everything is healthy from this perspective because I'm making money. If something goes wrong with this order, I'm still going to cover my costs because I could do a claim. And if any profit that I was going to make for this, it might be a wash, but the customer got their order and they're super happy and they're going to keep ordering from me. And they might not, but at the end of the day, you have the money in your bank account. They didn't do a chargeback, so it's a wash at that point, right? So there is that. Then the price relationship check. Was every product calculated separately? Yes or no? The product set or the complete set has a clear price and the value difference from the top or duo. So if you have a main product or a related product or a main and an add-on, do you have clear pricing to indicate that this is what the main product is and this is what the add-on or the related product is? That way people are not like, oh, I meant to buy this one, but you have that one, right? Do you have clear pricing and show the difference in the value for each of those? The Topper Duo for me created a profitable return purchase without requiring another pen, right? So what does that mean? For my uh, related product was to sell additional Topper Duos, so additional characters without needing the base pen, meaning that cost of the base pen is not being calculated. But it could have very well been the thing that cost me the most. Jesus. I need to drink more water. So that being said, when I took the pen out of the equation, I got a little bit more money back, right? It doesn't mean I'm selling the Topper Duo at the same cost as the full complete set, but it isn't going to be cheap either. Do both products, so here it says, is there any price difference between the explained that can be explained by the cost, labor, or customer value? Yes. So both products use the same fees, the same target margin method, and it does not. I would have broken everything down from the fact that I'm not using a pen for the extra duos, where I do have the pen and the characters and all the hoopla stuff for the main product. And then last but not least, prices were rounded only after the calculation was complete. Yes, it was recalculated. We recalculated it afterwards. Technically, I did it a little backwards. I did it up front, but it still gave me the profit margin information. It was off by like point something. It really was only cents in difference from the 34. What was it? I can't even read that. Oh, 34.19 was the original. And I went up 35 to 35. So we had a what, 82% or 82-cent difference. So that was the 0.42% from the 50 that I did. Um, let's see here. Okay, so now we got to talk about if the price feels too high, because this is the part where you guys are going to get tripped up on when you feel like, oh my God, who would pay for that? That's all an internal thing, by the way. People would pay for it, but if you don't have confidence in your own product and your own design and in what you offer, that's going to shine on through with the way you market it, with the way you talk about it, with the way that you demonstrate it. If you feel that your product is cheap and that it doesn't deserve to have designer prices, that customer will pick up on that easily. So keep that in mind. Okay. Next week, we are going to cover how to package products into different offers. So we will be covering that. Um, this one is just ensuring that we are creating sellable, like they are sellable, they have the right pricing. So next week we're going to show like differentiations in pricing. So we're not covering that today. I just want to make sure I covered that. Okay. So if your price feels too high, which cost or production step should be reviewed first, right? So if you're like, I know I'm supposed to, kind of put whatever I'm gonna pay a contractor, but man, it'd be nice to be like at $25 an hour to pay myself. That's not what we're estimating here. What would it cost for labor if somebody else, not you, because as an owner, you know that you are willing to either not charge at all or like consider that at all, or it's going to be an outlandish number that you might not ever meet. But if you had to if you had to contract somebody, what would they be paying or be earning per hour? That's what we ended up using at the time was $15. So is there a production step? Like for me, when I had to reevaluate my packaging, I had to reevaluate that I was not double stickering and putting extra packaging. And if I'm already packaging this thing, why am I packaging the packaging? Right? It's the inception of packaging. That was just a waste of materials. All of those things you can definitely put on there and then go back to your pricing and go, okay, I don't absolutely need that. That's not going to make or break the collection. And I wanted it so that it looked cute, but God, it's just killing my pricing because that's way higher and people are not responding well to it. Could the design process, packaging, or included choices change without reducing the customer value? And I literally just said that, right? Is there something that you can do that's not going to reduce the value? Like for me putting things in extra packages or packaging and throwing extra stickers on there was not going to diminish the fact that you got something free from me. It wasn't. And then what I ended up doing was investing whatever little bit of money that I saved from that because my margin was fine, my profit numbers were fine, was investing in the fact that I wanted to make sure I had plenty of bubble wrap in there, right? Because what you might do is compensate one thing for another if it means that the customer's value is not going to be reduced. All right. And then we've got how will the listing photographs demonstration communicate the value? Are you just going to, let's say you're selling, if I'm doing a Mario set, I'm selling the Mario set. Am I going to have a bunch of Hello Kitty behind me? Probably not, because that's going to kill the aesthetic. They're just going to be like, oh, she loves Hello Kitty. Why? It doesn't match. I'm not going to have a audio for Super Mario while I'm trying to sell Hello Kitty. So the aesthetics of your content have to match that designer feel. You have to communicate. It's a unique item. It's a unique design from your business. You can buy the things if you want at the Five Below, but you're not going to duplicate my design, right? That's conveying value. Are you going to take pictures on your old iPhone or are you going to invest in either getting a camera or upgrading your phone so you can take better pictures? Are you going to actually spend the time to look at ways that you can modify the picture so it captures it crispy? And that's literally going on YouTube and checking all the little, uh, picture settings that'll make your pictures look crispy. Crispy. Lord, it's getting late. All right. Final pricing decision. This is your summary. You've got your product name, Your current price, your calculated price, your final price, your net profit, your net margin, that becomes a thing, right? Now, you have to be able to detail, why is this the final price? In the facilitator notes, you're going to see it's going to say they pay the assumed material, labor, packaging, overhead, and the selling cost while preserving the 35% net margin. It also creates an understandable relationship between the complete first purchase and any topper only return purchases, right? The differentiators are there based on price. We're not conveying any less of a value, but hey, this doesn't require a pen. So now you're saving some money, but you're expanding your collection, right? You're giving them the value of expanding their collection. What customer value supports the price? The customer receives a functional interchangeable pen, two coordinated topper designs, two character stands, a complete color story, and displays value in one ready-to-use set, right? Now they can change out their toppers. They don't have to have just one pen at a time. And if they want to buy another pen, because think of it that way, right? If they wanted to buy two sets of pens, now you're looking at probably $50 from a vendor or more. Whereas they'll come back to you because you got the really cool collectible things. That means I can continue buying more pens and more designs from you because I can exchange and pop them onto other things. And this is just me using the Snapchat. You can use this example on anything from keychains to bookmarks to notebooks, like literally anything that you can craft with beads. What cost, fee, or production assumption needs to be verified, right? If you don't have a website yet and you're just assuming you're going to go with Shopify, but then maybe you end up going with Etsy or some of these other ones, you're assuming your variable rates and your fixed fees, right? So you need to write that down. If you don't know yet where you're going to sell, you can say, I did the assumption that I was going to sell on Shopify, but instead I'm choosing Etsy, which has a higher price. So now I have to redo my pricing. All right. Things that you need to make sure that you verify before using your real prices, right? That your materials are fully counted, that your labor is paid before you get your profit, right? Because somebody's going to work and they're going to get their paycheck before you even sell that product. Packaging is included. Overhead is reasonably allocated. That means if you decide you want to include your internet because internet's being used by the business, well, guess what? You're going to have to like figure out how to break it down for personal use versus business use, right? Then we have current selling fees are included. Net profit and margin were verified after rounding. The value can be explained clearly to the customer. If all of those check off yes, fantastic. Okay? That's your test. Do you meet these requirements? And then the homework, right? We're going to time one real product batch, right? So Cipriana, for example, you say, okay, I have 3 sets of, Hello Kitty. Let's say you got the same ones that I got at Five Below, and you got 3 sets of these. You already know design-wise kind of the arrangement you have. You have some of your beads and you have your stuff. Okay, cool. You better start timing it. Start timing the moment you grab the beads, you get the pens, you start putting that coordination together, and you have that design in place. That's your design time. That's not your production time. That's just your design time. Keep that design time separate from this. Once you're settled on the design, then go, okay, I'm going to time myself getting dot, 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 pop, go, boom, there, magnet, pop, there, there. Okay, how much was that? Right? Like you were manufacturing, because at the end of the day, if you hire somebody to come into your home or into your business to do the manufacturing, they're not designing. They're just putting the thing together how you asked them to. You already did the design. All right. You're going to verify the selling channel fees. Make sure that what you think is the fee, that you don't have to like pay another membership fee to get a lower amount. Complete the worksheet for one of your current products. You're going to review the price of one of your related products, meaning if you're selling a keychain and pen that have matching characters and that's a related product, fantastic. let's go ahead and review the pricing of each one of those because some people will want to collect the pen set collection along with the keychain because things are interchangeable if you're doing Snap Charm, for example. Then you're going to choose one pricing or product change based on the result. Is there something that you can modify in your process that'll make things easier, reduce the labor time, reduce your costs, right? Is the overhead, do you need to necessarily have XYZ subscription for your business to still run? Okay. Um, that's pretty much it for this one. You guys have some homework to do, but it's you're very welcome, sweetheart. I honestly, I know it seems like a lot of work, and I've said this literally every single week for the recordings. It seems like a lot, but it only feels like a lot because this is the first time we're doing this, right? Up until this point, people were guessing. You've probably been guessing and hoping that you guessed right. But when you break it down, it means you're going to be more knowledgeable when you do your next set because you're going to be like, "Oh, I already know that's going to take me 10 minutes to put together. That's going to take me $5 in cost because I get it from this supplier. I know that's going to cost me this much of a fee because this is the service that I'm going to sell my products on." So, oh, it just says iPhone 13. Who joined us? Oh, Maria, sweetie. It's okay. We recorded everything though, so you didn't miss out. Um, I'll send you the raw link before it goes into Substack tomorrow morning. I'll send it to both of you guys if you want to review it, but I'll send you the raw link from Zoom and you guys might actually see it, but yeah. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, it does help when we break everything down. That's the best part. When you see it visually and understand why the math has to math, it makes it so much easier to price and calculate and everything with your existing and also know if you've given yourself enough room to discount something, right? Or if you've priced it at the right level to be able to go, hey guys, there's a sale, 10% off. And it's not going to be like, oh my God, I'm just giving this thing away for free. Right. So this was the hardest one. I keep saying this every week. This is the hardest one. No, this is the hardest one because this isn't just calculating. It's literally looking internally to us and going, we are worth what we are charging and not going, they're gonna be like, that's too much. Then they're not your customer. They are not your target customer. Okay. Keep that in mind. Hermes bags aren't for everyone. Starbucks isn't for everyone. Neiman Marcus isn't for everyone. But they know who they're targeting. They go and market to those people, and that's who comes and shops. I love you guys. Have a great night. Maria, I will send you the link, sweetie. And I probably just posted on the insider thing, but I'm still gonna send out the you're welcome, sweetie. I'm still gonna send out the Substack article tomorrow. Um, because like I said, this is gonna go to everyone that's a part of our group, or not group, part of Substack, because this is huge. This is a big one. Okay. And I want everybody to succeed. I love you guys. Take care. Have a good night. I will see you possibly Thursday. I might just do like a full day TikTok because I have so much to share. Bye, guys.